Welcome to this audiobook narration workflow in Audacity. In this series, I'll show you how to narrate and produce an audiobook using Audacity, covering the complete audiobook production workflow. The focus will be on the audiobook production workflow, which is a mystery for many people. I won't review every small detail in Audacity, but I'll guide you through a complete workflow. Since this tutorial is lengthy, I'll break it down into multiple parts in this playlist. Our starting point is the ACX audio submission requirements. These guidelines are essential if you want to produce top-quality audiobooks that meet ACX's standards. These requirements include technical specs as well as general guidelines for things like file naming. Not all requirements are purely technical, some guide you on file organization, naming conventions, and other best practices. It's important to understand each point, as failing to meet these can result in your audiobook being rejected. At first glance, these standards may seem overwhelming, but once understood, they're manageable. I will cover every point of this manual, so hang tight. You first have to focus on 3 specific requirements. If you get these 3 requirements correct, the rest of the things will follow automatically. These requirements are: volume, RMS, between -23 dB and -18 dB. Peak levels, less than -3 dB. Noise floor, below -60 dB. Please note that this is not a generic Audacity tutorial. This is a workflow guide that assumes you already know the basic use of Audacity. If you need a step-by-step guide to learning Audacity and want to apply it in audiobook narration or editing, consider taking this Audacity bundle. This bundle will take your Audacity editing skill to a whole new level. More on this later. Your first step in producing audiobooks will be setting up your project folder. Now, let's create a place to store all your audiobook files. You do not need to follow my folder structure exactly, but use it as a guideline to a starting point. At first, I will create a main folder to hold all the files for the audiobook. On my desktop, I have a folder called Sample Recording. I will create another folder inside it. I will create a main folder to hold all the files. I will name it my audiobook. You can choose your preferred name and location for the folder, but the main point is the folder is easily accessible to you. Everything related to your audiobook will go in this folder. Inside this main folder, each chapter or section will have its own file, as ACX requires. For example, each chapter is a separate file, like Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and so on. With the main folder being set up, let's get back to Audacity and record the audio. I assume you already know the recording basics, and how to get a proper recording. If not, please have a look at the Audacity bundle. The link will be in the description. After pressing the recording button, do not start talking right away. First record some seconds of silence, which we call room tone. Room tone is very important, as we will see later. After some seconds of silence, start narrating the chapter. Continue narrating, following good recording practices to maintain consistent volume and clear tone. Once you're done recording, press stop. Notice something important. You may record the whole chapter in one go, in multiple sessions, or in multiple takes. If you press the record button again, a new clip will be created. If you do recordings in multiple take, you can join the clips. Select the black vertical line by dragging your mouse or touchpad, then right-click. Click on Join Clips, and you will get a recording of something like one track. Once you are done with recording, you have to save the project. Saving the project in right way is important. To save a project, go to File and save the project. Obviously, we have to save the project on computer. To save your Audacity project, find the folder where you want to store it, and give it a clear name. The best naming convention would be to name after the chapter name or number, like Chapter 1. While there are detailed naming guidelines for the final files on ACX, you don't need to follow them exactly to name your project. You can adjust that during or after the audio file export. We will see that when the time comes. For now, simply use chapter numbers or other identifiers to keep track. I'll name this one Chapter 1 and save it. Now, if you check the folder, you'll see the Chapter 1 OP3 file, along with some additional support files that Audacity automatically creates. Don't worry about these files, they'll disappear when you close Audacity, leaving just the main OP3 file. You will work with the OP3 file, so ignore these other files. I have closed Audacity, and those supporting files are gone. When you reopen the OP3 file, Audacity will recreate the support files. The main point is not to worry about the additional files, and we will only work with OP3 files. We will edit and process the OP3 file. I recommend creating a backup of each recording, or each OP3 file. Because as we will edit and process this OP3 file, we will no longer have the raw recording. It is a good practice to keep a backup of the raw recording in case you need it later. For this, I will make a new folder called Raw. copy the op3 file, and paste into the raw folder as a backup. This way, if you make a mistake during editing, you can return to the original recording. Please note that this is my suggested folder structure, but feel free to choose your own structure. Once you've recorded your chapter, your next task is to edit or process it, depending on how clean the original audio is. Editing mainly means removing repeated or unwanted parts from the recording. Processing means applying audio effects. It may be a bit confusing should you edit first or process first. There are few things to consider on making such a decision. We will show those in detail in a next video. Let's talk about the processing goal, which will be key of our editing workflow. For a quick quality check, use the ACX Check plugin. If you haven't installed it, do so, as it provides essential readings for RMS, peak, and noise floor values. I checked it on the raw recording, and it does not give me a clear idea. Because this reading matters for the final audio. To get a better reading, normalize to -3 dB and then measure the ACX values. Normalizing to -3 dB helps give a more accurate idea of your audio's RMS and peak values. Please note that normalize is a special kind of effect in the sense of how you can use it. You can use the normalize effect anytime without worrying about the audio quality. Normalize effect only increases or decreases the volume of the audio, it does not have any other side effect. Other audio effects cannot used multiple times without affecting the quality of the audio. First, focus on the RMS and peak values. We will deal with the noise floor later. After the -3 dB normalize, the RMS and peak passed for this audio. That will not be always the case. Sometimes the RMS will be low even after normalizing to -3 dB. We will see those in detail in the next video of this series. Each of these factors, RMS, peak, and noise floor, might vary as you edit, especially if you delete longer pauses or gaps. The ACX values matter in the final audio. Before that, it actually works as a guide on how to edit and process the audio. We are mainly focusing on the chapter recording and saving project workflow in this video. To record another chapter, close and reopen Audacity. Because each chapter should be a separate Audacity project. Having separate Audacity project helps to edit and process the audio easier. You may think of recording another chapter as another track, but with Audacity that becomes a complex process. For an easier workflow, record each chapter in a separate Audacity project. At the end of the recording, follow the same Audacity project saving process. Let's assume this is chapter 2, so I will save it as chapter 2. Save the project as chapter 2, and you'll see both chapter 1 and chapter 2 files in your folder, along with their support files. Closing Audacity will remove the support files, keeping only your op3 files. This is your starting point for organizing and managing audiobook files. In the next video, we'll look at more processing steps to meet ACX standards, focusing on passing the peak and RMS levels. If I summarize these steps, it will be like recording your chapters separately and saving them in a folder. If you feel it is necessary, keep a raw backup of each recording in another folder. After recording, normalize to -3 dB and check ACX values. Take note of the peak and RMS and plan your next step. In the next video, we will see the next step. You just watched a video from a special mini-course on audiobook production workflow in Audacity. If you have access to the Audacity bundle, you will get the special mini-course. You can also take the course by joining my school community. I am enrolling people just for $49 per month as a Black Friday offer. If you join the school community, you will get access to all courses, macros, and presets. You will find links in the description. For a more in-depth look at Audacity or audiobook production, check out my full Audacity course or join my community. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.